Today, on Christmas 2023, I want to talk about one of the most hateful and dangerous statements from the Free Palestine movement. Take a look.
Free Palestine!
Jesus was Palestinian!
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 Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
This is a group of radical pro-Palestinian activists sabotaging a Santa Claus Christmas encounter at a very popular mall in Toronto. What an odd thing to shout at a demonstration. Jesus was Palestinian. What are you protesting? But the menacing mob at this Toronto mall makes it clear what the logic is. The land of Israel belongs to the Palestinians, and Jews have no claim to it. That's what they're saying. The claim that Jesus was Palestinian sounds so absurd that it should not merit a response. This idea was first publicized by Linda Sarsour in 2019. She tweeted, "Jesus was Palestinian of Nazareth and is described in the Quran as being brown, copper-skinned with woolly hair." Many columnists, as well as educated people in the Twitterverse, were shocked at how absurd and utter nonsense it was. One Muslim woman wrote, "What a foolish comment from Linda Sarsour. The Quran clearly mentioned the Israelites and mentioned Jesus within that context. Denying the Jewishness of Jesus will not help the Palestinian cause." But as utterly ahistorical and false this statement was, it had legs. It's a claim that's parroted among many Palestinian activists, and for years.
Okay, then we have the whole Jesus couldn't be Palestinian because he was a Jew. Yes, of course, Jesus was a Jew. He was of the Jewish faith. That's pretty clear. Nobody denies that. But identity is multi-layered. For instance, I'm Palestinian, Arab, and American. My parents come from two faith traditions, so Christianity and Islam are part of my identity too. Islam especially, since Arab history, culture, and civilization connect to those of Islam so intimately. But also Christianity, since Palestinians were the first followers of Jesus and are still the oldest Christian community in the world. In Palestine, Christianity and Islam are both native. They literally grew up on the same street. Sometimes they even marry each other. Point is, identity is complicated. Jesus was Jewish. His roots were from Nazareth, so he was a Nazarene. Nazareth is located in the Galilee then and now, so he's Galilean too. And he was also a Palestinian because he lived natively in a land that was called Palestine.
It's a very common narrative that you hear labeled against us Jews. Personally, I have a former friend who believes this, Palestinian friend, who believes this and has spewed this anti-Semitic narrative several times on social media.
The name Syria, Palestine, was invented by the Romans 100 years after Jesus was crucified. I said that Jerusalem was destroyed in the rebellion. That happened in the year 70. 65 years after that, the Jews rebelled again in the Bar Kokhba revolt. The Romans said, okay, we've had enough of the Jews. We are going to expel them from Judea. But not only that, we are going to rebrand this territory. So they changed the name of Jerusalem to Ilia Capitolina and the name of Judea to Palestine. Now, how did they come up with that name? In the Bible, the Philistines are mentioned. They were located mostly on the southern coastline of the land of Israel, and the Jews were mainly located in the mountains around Jerusalem. Many battles were fought between the Jews and the Philistines. Goliath was a Philistine soldier who fought David. Sometimes in the 5th century BC, as the Babylonians conquered the land of Israel and expelled all the different people, we stopped hearing about them. They probably merged with local population in the Middle East. So the Romans in the 2nd century said to themselves, let's use the name of the Philistines, who were a bitter enemy of the kingdom of Israel and disappeared 700 years ago, and call this territory Syria, Palestine. And this name continued to be used in European languages as the name of this territory. It wasn't until the 20th century that local Arabs started using this term to describe themselves. Up until the 20th century, there were no Palestinians, and so also in the first century, there were no Palestinians. So no, Jesus was not Palestinian.
What's really being said when that claim is made? It's not really just about Jesus. It's about all Jews. If Jesus was not a Jew but a Palestinian, then that means that the entire people at the time were Palestinian. This is very much intentional. It is very much part of a Palestinian narrative that seeks to deny Jewish indigeneity to the land of Israel. It is part of a narrative that says that we Jews are a foreign people that have no connection to the land of Israel. There is a narrative out there that we Jews are Khazars. According to this imposed narrative, we came from a European kingdom of people who converted to Judaism. That is their narrative. They don't seek to prove their heritage, they simply deny ours. They don't seek to prove their right to the land, they simply deny ours. As we progress through time, many of us have come to think that religion is about coexistence, that it is about accepting the differences of the other. This narrative, this claim about Jesus being Palestinian, about Jews not being from the land of Israel, and not being tied to the historical Israelite people, seeks to do the opposite of coexisting, of accepting the differences in the other. Saying Jesus was Palestinian is a way to deny our peoplehood and our own history. It says, you do not belong here. It says, you are not tied to historical Hebrews and Israelites that lived on this land for centuries and centuries and centuries. It says, you do not belong to the people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It says, you do not belong to the people of King David and the Maccabees. It is incredibly pernicious and incredibly anti-Semitic. For us as Jews, we cannot simply dismiss this as we might if it were a common insult. When they say Jesus was Palestinian, it's not simply that it's absurd and that they're trying to lay claim to this particular individual. It's that it's an attack on Jewish identity. It's that it's a complete denial of how we Jews define ourselves. It's a way to deny us any connection to our ancestral homeland. If we do not have any ties to our historical past, if we are a foreign people, then, according to them, it is a moral imperative to drive us out of the land by any means. We've witnessed what that looks like on October 7th. We know what that means. So, no, Jesus was not a Palestinian. Jesus, who lived in Judea, who prayed in the Second Temple, who observed Shabbat, who celebrated Jewish holidays, who kept kosher, who read Torah, who was referred to in the Christian Bible as Rabbi and as King of the Jews, was a Jew. To the Christian members of my audience, Merry Christmas.